Hey guys, and welcome to episode number 59 of Limitless Studios TV. As always, check out the forum, limitless-studios.com. Click on the forum link. Tons of posts going up there, lots of information. You just did a post on impulses the other day.
Yeah, I posted some impulses that I made.
Yep, so if you use amp simulators and stuff like that, check that out. That is made with his stiletto cab.
Yep.
And did you posted all the mic positions? And
I posted pictures of where the mics were placed and the impulse files themselves.
And those were recorded with an SM7B.
Yes.
Which is we got for review, which we did the unboxing last week, and then a couple weeks from now we're going to do the full review.
Yep.
So look forward to that.
Yep, but today we're going to be doing a video on free plugins. Most of our viewers are like budget
conscious.
Yeah, so free plugins are always a good thing. For the most part, I use the default plugins that are in Pro Tools and Logic or whatever, but and most of them will do you pretty good. But we're going to show you a few that we really like to use and that are free, of course. So I guess the first one I'm going to talk about here is a phase reversal plugin. This one is actually frequency dependent, so you can actually phase reverse certain frequencies if you want. It's called PhaseTone. It's for both Mac and PC. It's available in RTAS, VST, and audio unit formats, so you can use it in pretty much any recording software that you want to use it. I guess I should say before we get too far into the video here that the links for all of these plugins will be in the description.
Long description. Yeah,
long description box this time. And so I guess we'll move on to the next one that I have here. This is probably my favorite reverb. I've talked about it before in a couple other videos actually. It's called Ambience. It's also for Mac and PC. It's available in VST and audio units, so you can use it in everything except for Pro Tools unless you have a VST to RTAS adapter, and then you can use it in Pro Tools. So that's a great reverb. There's a lot of functionality. In the audio unit form, it doesn't have the graphical interface, so that's kind of bad, but the VST one does, so that's a reverb for you. And then the next plugin I'm going to talk about is a clone of the Waves C4 Multiband Compressor, commonly used for like woofy guitars. You can compress just one certain frequency band, like say you want to compress between like 100 and 200 hertz to get rid of that woofy sound in your guitar cab. But you could do this with EQ, but then you would be EQing out, say you have chords and like palm mutes, you would be EQing out of the chords and it might make the chords sound kind of thin. So you can use a compressor, a multiband compressor, and compress those frequencies out without damaging the other chords in that certain guitar part or whatever. So that's a very nice little multiband compressor, and it's called the C3 Multiband Compressor. It's for Mac and PC, of course, and then it works for VST and audio units. So again, if you want to use this in Pro Tools, you'll have to have the VST wrapper. The next one on the list here is kind of an unusual one that you wouldn't really think of being any use, but it's actually called the MultiInspector Free, and what it is it's a spectrum analyzer, and so you can put this on multiple different tracks, like say you put it on drums, bass, guitar, and vocals, and it will show all the different frequencies for all of them in one little graph, so you can see what kind of frequencies are competing, and they're all color coded, so it's very nice to decipher. It's available in both VST and audio units, and I think I already said it, but it's for Mac and PC.
Yep.
The next one is a distortion. It's not like, I guess you could use it for guitar, but
I've tried it with guitar. It doesn't
work that well.
It doesn't work that well. It sounds like you're running just a preamp into your computer. Yeah.
But we use it actually in vocals. I think we used it on one of our songs, Age Old Tale, I believe.
Yes.
On our website, on our band website, and then, but it's called CamelCrusher, and it's for Mac and PC, and it is a VST and an audio unit plugin. So that's just a few plugins that I use a lot, and so I thought you guys would be interested in checking them out.
Yep. So He uses a lot of Mac stuff, so all the ones that he just said are obviously also compatible with Mac.
Yeah.
A lot of the ones that I'm going to talk about are PC only because a lot of people make more. There's more VSTs than there are audio units.
Yeah.
So in the free sector, at least, most paid plugins you can get them in RTAS, audio units, and VST.
Yeah.
But this is all free stuff. Everything is here, and we should mention that we're not talking free for 30 days. We're talking free forever.
Yeah.
So, you know, a lot of these places have, you know, so if you use it a lot, you can donate, and they have a lot of donate buttons and things like that.
Yeah.
But everything is completely license free, so you don't have to worry about running out of time.
Uh-huh.
And the first one I'm going to talk about is, I'm sure we've probably talked about it before. It's Gclip. It's a peak. It's a peak limiter basically, and it's a mastering plugin. And basically what it does, I use this on drums a lot, because in order to get loud mixes, I'll bring up the guitars and everything to 0 dBs, but then the drums get quiet.
Yeah.
And so what I do with Gclip is I put it on the drum track, and then what it does is it brings the middle of the wave up, and it literally chops the top of the waves off. So you make it loud, but without getting clipping.
Yeah, so you're basically cutting off the snare and the kick drum.
Yes.
Or the peaks of those.
At 0 dBs, basically. Well, you can turn it down, but if you turn the level all the way up, it'll cut it at 0 dBs.
Yeah.
So, and that's how I bring the drums up with the guitars. So you have loud guitars along with the loud drums.
Yeah, you can use it for loudness maximizing for your final mix.
Yes, yeah, that'll work. It works well there too. But that's only for PC. That's VST only.
Yeah.
The next thing that I use a lot is the W1 limiter. This is a clone of the Waves L1 limiter, or is it the L2? No, it's the L1.
I think it's the L1.
They work basically the same, but it's a exact clone of the Waves limiter, and it's called the W1. As always, all these links will be in the sidebar.
Yeah.
And basically what it is you have you have a level, and then you have a amount of how much you want to bring up the volume. Can't remember exactly what it's called, but you basically have your ceiling, which most of the time you'll set at 0 dB, and I use this on the master, and then you'll basically smash the mix to make it loud, and it works like a compressor, but it's more extreme than a compressor. It doesn't do, you don't have a release time.
Mm-hmm.
It's automatic. It's basically 0 milliseconds.
Yeah.
So it automatically brings up the peaks and brings down the peaks and pulls up the valleys. So you have a really, really loud squashed mix, like everybody loves these nowadays.
Yeah.
So those are two, the Gclip and then the W1 are two, really good mastering plugins.
Yeah, and the W1 is for both Mac and PC.
That
audio units and VST.
Yeah, that's the only one that I have that is audio units as well. The next one I'm going to talk about is my EQ that I use. It's a 32 band EQ, and it was actually some guy's college project, which I found very interesting. You can actually download his paper on it. It's all in like German, so I can't read it, but it's called Aqualizer, and it's a 32 band EQ. And the cool thing about it is that at the bottom of each band, you can actually type in the frequency you want. So it doesn't necessarily have to be the stock going from low frequency all the way to your high frequencies. You can actually change it and customize it any way you want to, which is pretty cool. And you can turn certain channels off or bypass all the certain channels, and it's completely 32 band. One thing that's kind of odd about it is you don't have like a link, like in a lot of EQs. When you bring down a certain point, it'll bring down, it'll do a curve, an EQ curve. This is single band, so if you drop one, none of the other bars drop. So if you want the EQ curve and a smooth EQ, you do it manually.
So it doesn't have a Q?
Yes. So, I mean, I like it because of the, the functionality, because it's 32 bands, but it does take a little more time to get a precise EQ, but it is possible. The last two things I'm going to talk about is, that is VST only, by the way, the Aqualizer. Last thing I'm going to talk about is an amp simulator and then an amp, impulse loader, so you can do cab emulation. The amp is from Nick Crow. It's Nick Crow's 8505, and it's completely free. All the links are in the sidebar, obviously, and it's VST only, but it's actually a pretty good amp simulator for being free, obviously.
Yeah.
And then obviously with that amp, you're going to need an impulse because if you run just the amp, you're going to get extreme buzz and high frequency. It sounds terrible. It sounds like running a distortion pedal straight into your computer. So the impulse loader is it's KefIR, so it's Kef's impulse response, I guess is what it is, something like that.
Not sure how to pronounce it.
But it's a free impulse loader. It's a little finicky. It crashes sometimes, but it works most of the time. If you really want a nice impulse loader, then Revolver comes with a built-in impulse loader that works extremely well, and you can create your own impulses in there with its stock setup. But Revolver is a little bit expensive. It's like $250 for the full version.
Yeah.
So I think is that all the stuff? That's also only VST. But that way you combine those two, the 8505 and the impulse loader, and you can get some decent guitar tones with some free plugins.
And free impulses.
Yep.
Speaking of which, I have some on the forum.
Shameless plug.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I think that's going to be, is there anything else we want to talk about?
I don't think so.
Yeah, I think that's going to be it. Next couple of weeks we're going to have some cool stuff. 2 weeks from now we'll have the full SM7B review.
Sound clips included.
Yes, all sound clips are going to be included. Check out the live stream at live.limitless-studios.com, and we're streaming 7 p.m. on Eastern Time on Fridays and around 3 p.m. Eastern Time on Sundays. You can come check out. We're actually streaming live right now while we're doing the video. We actually have 2 cameras set up.
Yeah.
One of them you're seeing, and then the other one is for the live stream. So if you want to see us do it completely live, check it out on Fridays.
Yep.
So I think that's going to be it for episode 59. So keep checking the forum and everything, and we will see you next week in another Limitless Studios episode.